Welcome to another edition of Off Limits. Our guest today is Tushar Gandhi, who is a well-known author and is also the great-grandson of Mahatma Gandhi. Welcome, Tushar. I think that is enough introduction because everybody knows you. You're active, you're a voice that is heard. So welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Seema. Right.
So, Tushar, we are getting on to October 2 again. And we hear the same murmurings of Gandhi and Gandhi Jayanti and revival. But before going to the present, I want to take you back to the past many, many years ago when we spoke and we talked of how even before the BJP came into power, that Gandhi was being made irrelevant by the party in power at that time, Congress or other governments as well, ignoring that part of our history and the message that Gandhi actually had communicated during the freedom struggle to the people of secularism, equality, pluralism, rights, everything that we find in our Constitution of India. So would you agree that this thing of making Gandhi irrelevant has started a long time ago?
Yeah. Seema, the fact is that politically, a ritualized, iconic Gandhi was much more convenient to live with than the ideology that he represented and the values that he brought to us, which would make it very impossible for people in active politics to actually adopt him. And so there was no, it wasn't surprising that he was, hypocrisy replaced understanding and admiration very rapidly. And now we've reached such a stage that maybe UN decided to commemorate his birthday as the International Day of Nonviolence. But if we are to be honest, it should be termed as the International Day of Hypocrisy.
Right. Even where the UN is concerned, is it?
Pardon?
Even where the UN is concerned. I mean, the fact that it's an International Day of Nonviolence, so while it is an iconic kind of a gesture, at the same time, they're honoring Gandhi and his message of nonviolence, no?
Yes, and see, apart from that declaration, there is no sincere effort to ensure that even partially that one day, a 24-hour period, truly becomes a period of nonviolence. None of the signatories to that declaration, none of the sponsors of that declaration, none of them has made any attempts to sincerely make it a day of nonviolence, at least superfluously, and I say it very grudgingly, that superfluously ritual of cleaning up has been added to one of the ways of commemorating Bapu. But that too is so superfluous and so artificial that it too has not caused any kind of sincerity or faith in it. And so, to me, it 2nd October seems to be losing its significance. Of course, for me as a descendant, it's a family thing, but as a public figure, 2nd October ceases to retain its importance.
So, coming back to 2nd October and the relevance of Gandhi, which you just raised, what do you think would be an actual tribute to him? You're obviously saying that this one-day celebration or whatever is meaningless. It is that his deep message that should be communicated to the people, right?
Yeah, you see, even if we have become a people who are more inclined to perform rituals than to adopt things into our own lives. And so just to not, go contrary to the popular way of life, even in Bapu's time, there was a prescribed method of celebration, and the whole 15 days from 2nd October were celebrated as a period of national service.
Mhm.
Now that too has stopped, even that period of 15 days. But in today's circumstances, I think the most appropriate celebration of 2nd October would be to bring back sanity in our society, because our society is turning insane with hatred and prejudices and intolerance. And I think that poses the gravest threat to our existence as a people and as a nation. And maybe this 2nd October, maybe we could utilize it as a launch for a movement to reconcile our nation, reconcile our people, and and reaffirm our commitment to fight the forces of hate and the politics of hate.
So how do you, as a descendant of Gandhi and other members of your family, some of them whom are around, how do you react to, this continuous thing that you see, particularly on the social media, of course, not on the formal yet, about lauding the person who assassinated Gandhi, actually talking of that hate doctrine as the right way to go? Does it upset you, worry you? What are the reactions within?
I accept it because you see, Godse was just an assassin. See, we must understand this. For too long, we demonized him as the killer.
Yeah.
He was just an assassin given a task. And as Bapu had said, hate the sin, not the sinner. The sin is the Samparivar.
Yeah.
And we need to focus on that much more than focus on Godse. And to me, it's not surprising that for them, Godse is an iconic figure. He carried out what they wished to happen and on their orders. And so it's very honest of them to celebrate the killer, because they are subscribers to the ideology of hate and violence. And to expect them to be anything different, I think is expecting too much on our part. And so, no, I don't get disturbed by it, although it reaffirms and solidifies my belief that we need to defeat them.
Right. Again, in the run up to today, and it was not so long ago, we were all adults, almost adults, when Gandhi's message was actually converted and used by movements. The latest being, of course, Nelson Mandela's and even Martin Luther King. There was this whole non-violent ideology, as it were, which were adopted by these very, very successful movements for Black rights and for freedoms. But somehow others have not taken this up, and not even in India. Do you think that this is a larger attempt to marginalize Gandhi and non-violence and movements such as this?
I used to feel that way, that apart from, as I said, apart from the idol being worshipped, we were actually not understanding Gandhi. But two events in the last few years have reaffirmed my faith in the ability of Gandhi to inspire. One was the very successful protests against the CAA, NRC that happened. We saw all the sit-in protests happening all over the country. And I think that was, whether we admit it or not, that was an example of Gandhian Satyagraha in practice. And then, to a very large extent, the farmers' protest also showcased the effectiveness of Satyagraha even in today's times. And that gives me heart that yes, there is hope, and we have still not entirely abandoned the Gandhian methods. It may not be, publicized by the practitioners as being Gandhian, but
Yes,
the
but
method
it's the
adopted
influence.
is
Yes,
Gandhian. There's no doubt about it.
right. What you didn't speak about the current Bharat Jodo Yatra and the Padyatra that's going on.
I think it's an admirable effort. The only thing I would have liked it to be is that the party conducting it should come out in the open and said yes, it is our party, part of our party strategy. That would have been much more honest a method of doing it. But I think in today's circumstances, all such efforts need to be done, and everyone needs to, in some way, or everyone who believes in the unity of India and the very much touted culture of Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb, which now only remains in the sentence and not in reality at all.
Yeah.
But if we believe in that and subscribe to that, then I think we should, in some way or the other, in whatever way possible, associate with this
Right.
Bharat Jodo Yatra and send out a message that it is the need of the day, and the right-minded citizens of this country are associating with it. It doesn't mean that, if I was to go and walk tomorrow, it doesn't mean that I'm becoming a Congress person.
Right.
When the time comes to oppose their policies, we'll oppose their policies also. But at the moment, what Rahul is doing with the Bharat Jodo Yatra, I think is a very significant thing happening, and I think it will bear fruits. I hope it will bear fruits in influencing a change in the minds of people. We have become too addicted to hate and prejudice, Seema, as a people. And I think a process of detoxification is required. And maybe this Bharat Jodo Yatra could provide that elixir that will lessen the venom in our society.
Would you say, I was just thinking while you were speaking, is that the whole Gandhi legacy obviously was taken over by Gandhians. Is it also true that many who were entrusted with the legacy lived also in the past, and the language was outdated, the symbols were outdated, what they needed to communicate, they were not being able to communicate in the present kind of language. And with the kind of change and rapid change you see amongst the younger generation, they were actually then found themselves out of the loop altogether. So do you think that was a big problem?
The problem is, Seema, that all his life, Bapu kept evolving.
Yes.
And his ideals and his methods kept changing according to his understanding and his experiences and things. But after he was murdered, the ideology has stagnated. It has not been allowed to evolve and keep up pace with the times. And I think that was the biggest crime against the Gandhian ideals and ideology, and that is where the alienation happened. But I don't believe that any of the ideals or the methods are outdated. I just think that they needed to remain relevant because many generations have changed since the time of Gandhi, and that is where we saw that even for a brief time, a very frivolous exercise like the movie Lage Raho Munna Bhai had a greater influence amongst the youth than old fogies like me, wasting such a lot of our time trying to keep that ideology alive.
But you are not. I mean, I'm not saying it because you're here, but because you speak the language. You're able to communicate it and marry it to current environment, whether it was yesterday or today or tomorrow. So you are one of the voices, frankly, which as a journalist one like to go to and to record, because it was speaking in the language where the younger people could, you speak in a language that the younger people can understand, can relate to. That's so important, no? Language and communication skills.
When I chose this path, Seema, one of the things that I promised myself was that I will not contribute to the further alienation of the Gandhian ideology. And so,
exactly.
Whenever I speak to the youth and the younger audiences, or all the audiences that I interact with, I refuse to eulogize the Mahatma. And I always talk about Mohandas, because I think what needs to be conveyed to people is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi and the journey of that individual, the life journey of that individual, because the life journey of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi is much more believable than the iconized Mahatma. And that is what, for 50 years since his murder, Mahatma was being crammed down our throats all the time. And so, it caused indigestion to people. But Mohandas still remains that freshness where anybody can identify with that individual. And that is what we must strive to do. Because I believe that the journey from Mohan to Bapu is much more important to be shared with people and popularized in people than that stage where people started calling him the Mahatma. That was just a culmination.
So how do you, that's very, very well put. It's the individual, the human being, and the human being always relates, other humans relate with him. Whereas Mahatmas are on a pedestal and you only bring them out once in a while, like on 2nd October or whatever, right? How are you reacting to the Sabarmati ashram redevelopment? Do you think it was long overdue? Does it worry you? Are you happy about it?
It's a part of rewriting history project, which is such a desperation for the Sanghis. And this is one more step of obliterating the uncomfortable Gandhi for them and creating a more convenient Gandhi who they can showcase to the world while using him to hide their misdeeds and things. And so it has to be opposed, and I have been opposing it. I haven't been successful, but I'm not willing to give up either.
Right. And it's also about then making Gandhi known to the next generation as a person who liked cleanliness, physical cleanliness, and not necessarily cleanliness of the mind, right?
No, that's precisely what they are saying that what the Congress did for 40 years, that starched and laundered khadi was the only Gandhian thing that they wore, and failing to understand. And that is exactly what Mr. Modi and his group want to also showcase amongst the people, that कपड़े साफ सुथरे हो, दिल चाहे कितना भी मैला हो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
So it's the symbols, the khadi, the occasional
camouflage.
The camouflage, or moving away from Gandhian principles. I think we started a long time ago, long time ago, right?
Yes, it started a long time ago,
watershed,
and provided the Sanghis with suitable ramp to take off and corrupt whatever else was left.
Right.
So
Right.
it
Absolutely.
makes things easier for them.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's always easy to vitiate the atmosphere which is already vitiated. So I think they actually did it.
But having said that, I must appreciate Rahul that in his effort, whatever the need may be, whatever the objective may be, he chose to emulate the Dandi Kuch of Gandhi on a much greater
Yes.
scale. And I hope this is the starting point of adopting more and more of the Gandhian ideals in the political policies and methods of that party. So it gives me a ray of hope.
So that's good. So it's actually moving along on a Padyatra and also talking of love over hate.
Yes.
We're hearing that dialogue also after a long time, not
I think there is a requirement of more such dialogues to also be voiced during this Padayatra. But I think in present circumstances, preaching love over hate is a very vital necessity for our nation and for humanity in general. And the visual gestures of hugging people and all that, I think is very important to be done, as long as they look sincere and not convoluted.
yeah. So as
Like the famous handshake from secured surroundings. This is a refreshing change from that.
yes, absolutely. So to end with it, Tushar, are you feeling more optimistic on the eve of this Gandhi Jayanti than you were, say, the previous year?
Not more optimistic, but maybe a fraction less pessimistic.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess at a time when sometimes there is deep pessimism.
But having said that, Seema, I also am realizing that the situation as it is also because of my own not being responsible enough. And if it has to change, then all of us need to take responsibility for that change. It's not going to happen on its own or by somebody else. So that realization is what makes me, as I said, less pessimistic. But there's miles to go before I can be optimistic.
Yeah, true. Well, thank you. This was interesting. A quick peep into, what you and others who are descended directly from Gandhi feel. And let's hope that India will right its way as we move along. Thank you so much, Tushar.
Thank you very much, Seema, and my best wishes to everyone.
Thank you.